So that's how Disneyland started. Well, it took many years. It was a period of maybe 15 years developing.
In every corner of the world, when you hear the word Disney, you think of magic, of dreams that come true, of childhood laughter, of stories that live forever. But behind this timeless name was a man, not born into wealth, not handed success. A man who built an empire of imagination from the ground up. This is the story of Walter Elias Disney, the man who transformed dreams into reality.
Walt Disney was born on December 5th, 1901, in Chicago, Illinois, to Elias Disney, a carpenter and farmer, and Flora Call Disney, a schoolteacher. He was the fourth of 5 children: Herbert, Raymond, Roy, and Ruth.
This little farm town would forever hold a special place in Walt's heart. The red barns, the friendly neighbors, the small town charm. These would later become the blueprint for Main Street, USA, in Disneyland. Walt was a quiet child, but his imagination was boundless. He loved to draw, often sketching farm animals and scenes from his surroundings. One of his early customers was a neighbor who paid young Walt a few cents for his drawings, his very first commission. He also developed a fascination for trains. His uncle, Mike Martin, was an engineer on the Missouri Pacific Railroad, and he sometimes let Walt ride in the engine. The smell of coal and the rhythmic sound of the train wheels became symbols of adventure for him. In 1911, the Disney family moved again, this time to Kansas City. Elias bought a newspaper route, and young Walt, along with his brother Roy, helped deliver newspapers every morning before school and every evening after. It was exhausting work, often starting at 4:30 a.m., but it taught Walt discipline and perseverance. At Benton Grammar School, Walt showed a strong interest in art and cartoons. He would doodle in class, draw for the school paper, and dream of becoming a cartoonist. In 1917, the family moved back to Chicago, where Walt attended McKinley High School. There, he divided his time between drawing for the school paper and taking night classes at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts. When World War I broke out, Walt was eager to serve his country. He tried to enlist in the army, but was rejected for being underage. He was only 16. Undeterred, he forged his birth date on an application and joined the Red Cross as an ambulance driver. He was sent to France, where he spent his days driving wounded soldiers and his nights sketching cartoons on the side of his ambulance. When Walt returned to the US in 1919, he was full of ambition, but short on money. He decided to pursue a career in commercial art. He got a job at the Pesman Rubin Commercial Art Studio in Kansas City, where he met Ub Iwerks, a talented artist who would become one of his closest collaborators. When the studio ran out of business, Walt and Ub started their own company, Iwerks Disney Commercial Artists. The venture didn't last long, but it ignited Walt's dream to make moving drawings come to life. He soon became fascinated with animation, a new and evolving art form. In 1922, Walt founded Laugh-O-Gram Studios and started producing short films based on fairy tales. His small team worked tirelessly, often surviving on meager meals and endless hope. But financial troubles persisted, and in 1923, Laugh-O-Gram Studios went bankrupt. Walt was only 21, broke and disheartened. Yet his vision remained unshaken. He took a one-way train to Hollywood, carrying just $40, a few drawings, and a camera. Hollywood in the 1920s was the land of opportunity for dreamers. But few could have imagined that the young man stepping off the train would someday change entertainment forever. Walt teamed up with his older brother, Roy O. Disney. And together, they formed the Disney Brothers Studio in a small office on Kingswell Avenue. Their first major creation was Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, produced for Universal Pictures. Oswald was a success, but in 1928, Walt faced a devastating blow. Universal claimed ownership of Oswald and poached almost all of his animators. It was a moment of heartbreak, the kind that could end a career. But Walt refused to quit. During a train ride from New York back to Los Angeles, he began sketching a cheerful little mouse with big round ears and a mischievous grin. His name? Mickey Mouse. With the help of Iwerks, Mickey came to life. In 1928, Steamboat Willie, the first synchronized sound cartoon, premiered. It was a sensation. For the first time, audiences saw and heard a cartoon character talk and sing. Mickey became an instant superstar, and Walt Disney became a household name. The success of Mickey Mouse opened the doors to endless creativity. Soon, new characters followed: Minnie Mouse, Pluto, Goofy, and Donald Duck. But Walt wasn't satisfied. He wanted to push animation beyond short films. He envisioned a full-length animated feature, something the world had never seen. Critics called it Disney's folly. They said audiences wouldn't sit through a long cartoon. But Walt believed in his dream. He poured his heart, money, and future into it. In 1937, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs premiered and made history. It was the first full-length cel-animated feature film. It earned over $8 million, a massive success at the time, and won Walt a Special Academy Award, 1 large Oscar and 7 miniature ones. Disney's golden age had begun. Over the next few years, classics like Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi captured hearts worldwide. But behind the magic, trouble brewed. The studio faced financial issues, and animators demanded better pay and working conditions. The Disney animators' strike of 1941 broke Walt's heart. It felt like a betrayal from his own family. Then came World War II. The US government took over parts of the studio for propaganda films. Budgets were tight, morale was low, and the post-war years were uncertain. But Walt, ever the dreamer, looked forward instead of back. In the early 1950s, Walt envisioned a place where parents and children could have fun together, a land of imagination and happiness. It was an idea no one believed in, again. But Walt didn't let doubt stop him. He personally oversaw every detail, from ride designs to landscaping, using his own money when investors hesitated. On July 17th, 1955, Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California. The opening day was chaotic, long lines, broken rides, and fake tickets. But despite the rough start, the park became an instant success. People from across the world flocked to experience a place where dreams come true. Walt became a cultural icon, producing hit TV shows like The Mickey Mouse Club and Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. His vision continued to expand. He began planning a second park in Florida, one that would be even bigger, with not just attractions, but an entire city of innovation called Epcot, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. In 1966, during a routine checkup, doctors discovered that Walt had lung cancer, a result of years of heavy smoking. Even as his health declined, he continued working. From his hospital bed, he sketched plans for Epcot on the ceiling tiles above him, using his imagination as his comfort. On December 15, 1966, 10 days after his 65th birthday, Walt Disney passed away. The world lost a legend. His brother Roy completed the Florida project in 1971, naming it Walt Disney World in his honor, a fitting tribute to the man who dreamed it all. Today, decades after his death, Walt Disney's spirit lives on, in every film, every park, and every smile he inspired. From Mickey Mouse to The Lion King, from Pixar to Marvel and Star Wars, the empire he built continues to evolve. But the heart of it remains the same: imagination, innovation, and hope. He once said, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." And he did. From a boy sketching on the back of old newspapers to the creator of a global kingdom of wonder, Walt Disney didn't just build a company, he built a world where dreams never end. Thank you for joining me in revisiting his remarkable life. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next biography. And let me know in the comments, what about Walt Disney's story stood out to you the most? Until next time, be real, stay curious, and keep exploring stories that matter.